Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode number 4 of the 2023-24 series Doc and Caveman. I'm Dr. Fantasy here, as always, with the Fantasy Caveman. Caveman, we had some trade action this last week. We got the trade deadline around the corner. How you feeling about the season?
Yeah, just seasons in full swing. Another interesting trade to talk about. I think we'll get into it a little bit with this trade, but regarding the trade deadline, I think we've kind of seen the biggest moves we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be a relatively quiet deadline. I mean, I'm sure there'll still be some moves. I'm sure the Lakers will make a smaller depth move and just give me a couple of low. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we see more excitement, but I think we've kind of seen the biggest deals that are gonna happen.
So you don't think that
unless Levine. I mean, Levine would be he's kind of the most likely, but I don't see super big names getting any more super big names getting dealt.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, I hope you're wrong as well. Be the worst trade deadline ever. We're gonna have Pascal Siakam and Marvin Bagley. That's the second biggest name is Marvin Bagley on the move.
We didn't even, man, it was so important that we just decided not to talk about
it. It's kind of sad. I used to think he was going to be pretty good coming out, but anyway, we got a few different things on the docket today. We're going to talk about Pascal Siakam's trade, a little bit about Josh Giddey, Udonis Haslem, and then we have the anti-awards, which is a random idea I came up with a few weeks where it was when we were talking about MVPs, Defensive Players of the Year, and I said, I need some more negativity, so let's just do everything the opposite.
Let's get negative.
Yeah, and that's, I think we need more negativity in life. We're always talking about bringing positive vibes, but, somebody's got to be there. There's no positive vibes without negative vibes, so we'll end off on that today. Let's kick it off. Let's just get Josh Giddey out of the way. I'm assuming the thing with Josh Giddey that you wanted to talk about was this week he became the third youngest player in NBA history to have 1,000 assists. So he quite the accomplishment there. But what do you? Any thoughts on Josh Giddey and what's been going on with him?
He's been in the news. There's some things that happened. I mean, I will say that as far as his personal life and stuff goes, I'm glad he was no, you say he was cleared, but they're not pursuing charges. That could mean a bunch of different things, but as far as basketball is concerned, I mean, he's kind of already been playing through this whole ordeal. So I guess that's kind of. I think the biggest thing with this is he has been a name that's been floated around. If the Thunder are going to make a move, to acquire another bigger piece. Josh Giddey is kind of one of their best younger guys that they'd be willing to really part with. I mean, I don't think they you obviously got Shea there, and Chet, and I think they like a lot of their younger pieces. So I think Giddey could be a name moving forward. And I don't know exactly. He was the second or third youngest player to record a triple double or something. He has some kind of triple double record. When I don't know exactly what the record was, but it could have been the triple double in the fewest minutes played or something like that. I don't know offhand, but I think overall I'd say the season's been a bit disappointing for him. He's kind of hasn't been able to build off his season last year, but I'm hoping he turns it around, and I hope the Thunder are able to get something good out of him, because it doesn't seem like he's in their long-term plans whatsoever. So I think it's the time to try to capitalize on some of his trade value.
Yeah, and I think some of that is TBD to see if he's a part of their long-term plan. So, I mean, he did have a super encouraging season last year, averaging over 16 points, almost 8 rebounds, 6 assists at 20 years old. And you were right; he is the youngest player ever to have a triple double. He was 19. He had his first triple double. So you're not that crazy, but I think the interesting thing with this whole situation, not on the basketball side of things, and I mean, I'll comment on this. It's not too controversial, but I think it's interesting because it shows you where the NBA stands. Shows you where the NBA stands on legal issues. Where if this happened in the NBA or in the NBA, if it happened in MLB or the NFL, I mean, Josh Giddey would not have been playing through this entire situation. We've seen before where in the MLB, and every situation's a little different, but guys have been suspended or put on leave immediately. So I thought it was really interesting that the NBA just kind of let the entire process played out. But while that was happening, Josh Giddey was still allowed to play. So that seems like it sets kind of a precedent for the NBA. And you can agree or disagree. I don't necessarily think I'm going to comment whether that's the right or wrong thing to do, but I just think it's an interesting note that they let him play. And when this first happened, I just kind of assumed that he was not playing. And then I remember the Thunder on TV, and I'm like, oh, Josh Giddey's still playing. I was actually kind of surprised because I think other leagues, especially the NFL and MLB, have set that precedent where you're going to be placed on leave and you're not playing while this controversy is going on. And we saw Josh Giddey get booed throughout the process, but I thought that was kind of the interesting piece here.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of. I think the NBA is more kind of you go the whole basis of the justice system in general, the innocent until proven guilty. Saying I think the NBA is more willing to abide by that principle than the other major leagues. So it's kind of, I mean, I guess it's refreshing to have the league and a commissioner, be willing to let the system play out versus like you said, immediately placing someone on leave and you're not playing now. Which basically, they're basically saying you're guilty, from the jump. So they allowed the system to play out with Giddey, and at least from a legal perspective, he was innocent. So.
Absolutely. All right, next we'll save the most exciting stuff for last. Udonis Haslem, who is the oldest player to ever play in an NBA Finals game at 43, I believe was his age at that time. He got his number retired by the Miami Heat. Kind of interesting when you look at his career numbers, which I think is the first place that people go anytime a player's jersey gets retired or you see somebody getting any sort of accolades. So it was news because some people were surprised. I think anybody who's been a Miami Heat fan hasn't necessarily been surprised. But any thoughts on Udonis Haslem's jersey getting retired by the Heat?
I mean, yeah, I think he's better. Would you think Miami Heat culture, you think Dwayne Wade and you think Udonis Haslem? I think that's kind of how it goes. We got done talking about Dwayne Wade a couple weeks ago, so the Heat are in the news again here. But I mean, for me, like it's not so much like Haslem specifically, but like it's nice to see a player play and finish his career you know, with one franchise. And you don't see that very often, and you're not going to see that very often. But that's what my takeaway was. It's nice to see him getting recognized for being there.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too. I know you talk a lot about the Miami Heat, maybe not struggling because they are the 6th seed in the East as we sit here right now, but not having that same fire. I mean, there might be something to be said that their locker room leader is missing right now. And I know they've had injuries, but when you couple that together with Haslem being gone, I think it potentially has had an impact on the way that they're playing post Haslem. And this is, I mean, you touched on it at the end there that you're probably never going to see somebody play over 20 seasons with one team ever again. He's only one of 3 players ever to do that. I don't know if people realize that, but the only 2 other guys to stay with one team their entire careers for over 20 years are Dirk and Kobe Bryant. So that's not a bad list to be a part of when it's Dirk, Kobe.
2 Hall of Famers and a Heat Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool and interesting set that. So congratulations to him. And he did win 3 championships, and he was an important role player and presence in that locker room through a lot of changes. When you think about, I mean, he played with, when Shaq was with the Heat, and he saw the Dwayne Wade LeBron era and the post LeBron era. So he really saw, a long history of Miami Heat culture, and he was the mainstay through all of it. So pretty cool to see something like that happen. So next up, we already mentioned this early, but let's talk more in depth about it. Pascal Siakam heading to the Indiana Pacers, only an hour away from where I am right now. I'll have to go check out the newly revamped Pacers. But they gave up quite a bit for him. They gave up 3 first-round picks, Bruce Brown, Kira Lewis, Jordan Nwora. So just some role players and 3 first-round picks. So what do you think about this deal for both sides here?
I think much like the OG deal that was made, I think this is a win-win. I think both teams come out of it, getting what they wanted to get. I mean, for the Raptors, I mean, this is all about building the team around Scottie Barnes. And he's their franchise now, and he's having a hell of a season. So this basically makes him the unquestioned focal point of the team. They got RJ and Quickly, who are not bad second and third options, it seems like. So, but this is clear they're going around Scottie Barnes, and they're going to be in a rebuild. So which is interesting because we're not that far removed from them being like contenders. So see them in a rebuild now will be interesting. And the Pacers, I think the Pacers are going all in. Now you got this is a nice trio. You got Tyrese Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner. I don't think the Pacers are done making moves. I think you're gonna see only a matter of time before Buddy Hield gets moved. I think they really want to try to move him. But the Pacers, they're in win now mode. I mean, where does this put them? I mean, they're still not. It feels weird to say because they've beaten them 4 times this season. I still don't believe they're on Milwaukee's level yet. And I don't think they're on. And they're not on Philly's level, and they're not on Boston's level. But those are still the 3 best teams in the East. I think this puts them right there with like the Knicks, where you talk about who could be in that top 4, and end up hosting, having home court in the first round. I think that puts them right in that 4 spot. in a fourth spot consideration. But the great move for both teams.
Yeah, it is going to be one of those deals that I think works out for both sides. I think expectations have to be, I can tell you being in Indiana, people are like crazily excited about this right now because people are obsessive with Pacers basketball here, but it's going to take a little bit of time for everybody to gel together. We see that time and time again with midseason trades and superstars moving rosters and moving teams. People want this immediate gratification of, oh, the Pacers are the best team in the East now. And even it's going to take some time for them to develop even into the fourth best team in the East. I mean, they already had good chemistry rolling. Halliburton's just recently returned from his injury. It's going to take time for everybody to click. They're 0-2 in their first two games with Siakam, and who they lose to? The Suns and Blazers. And the Blazers have been pretty terrible. The Suns are on a hot streak right now and finally look like themselves. So that's an okay loss, but it's going to take some time. I think from a standpoint of how well Siakam will fit with the Pacers, that'll be interesting to see him and Miles Turner paired together. The Pacers offensively have been on a historic run right now in terms of their efficiency and pace of play. So we'll see if it breaks anything offensively. I mean, Miles Turner more stretches the floor. Siakam hasn't been a super efficient three-point shooter or jump shooter. So I do think that they can pair well together offensively. Where they really need Siakam is defensively. They've been one of the worst teams in the league defending in the low post. They have the 27th rating right now, defending in the low post. So one of the worst teams in the NBA, and that's really where Siakam exceeds and excels as a player. When he first came to the NBA, he really wasn't an offensive force at all. If you remember when he was young and they won the championship with Kawhi, he kind of developed after, during that playoff run and then after Kawhi ended up leaving. So he's known for his defensive prowess. And if he can be that for the Pacers, that's going to be a huge benefit to them and what they're trying to accomplish this year. So, are they championship contenders this year? No. Can they win a championship with a core of Halliburton, Miles Turner, Mathurin, and Siakam? If Mathurin keeps, he's been a little disappointing. He hasn't really made a jump this year, but I don't know. I think the answer is maybe. You're just going to have to see how it gels and how long Siakam sticks around. In terms of what they've given up, I've seen a lot of people give hate towards the Pacers, like, oh my gosh, 3 first-round picks. But if you look at where those are projected to be, 2 of them are this upcoming season. As of right now, if the season ended today, those picks would be number 18 and 27. So, I mean, when you're talking that late in the draft, I mean, it's a dart throw at that point. Wouldn't you have a guy, a borderline all-star like Pascal Siakam at that point? I know I personally would, and then the pick in next season, we'll see where that lands. But either way, you're talking probably 3 picks that are somewhere between like 15 and 27. I don't think that's an unreasonable price to pay to make yourself better now. And then for the Raptors, you mentioned they're in full rebuild mode right now. This has been a team that historically does really well in the draft. So I think if anything, having a lot of draft capital is very beneficial to them. They have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years now. They're going to be able to use that to continue to build around Scotty Barnes and kind of see what happens with the other players on that roster. I mean, you mentioned Quickly, but he's not necessarily being locked into being there long-term. RJ Barrett, we'll see what he develops into. They took Grady Dick in the first round last year, who hasn't really shown much of anything this season, but we'll see what happens with the Raptors. But
I still need to get myself that jersey.
Yeah. But I think that's it on that deal. And I hope there's more big deals to come. We'll see whether it's Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray. There's names being thrown out every day from what I see. So we'll see what happens on that front. And let's see. Lastly, today we're going to go through our anti-awards. So what we're going to do here is it's the opposite of the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie, and Coach. So it's going to be I'd say most disappointing player, most disappointing defensive player, most disappointing rookie, most disappointing coach. So let's start off with the anti-MVP, so a guy that's disappointed this year. I came up with a pretty long list of players, so I'm going to let you go first to see who you say, and then I'll pick mine based off of that.
Yeah. Okay. So some of them, like such this one, I kind of have some honorable mentions, and then a guy I ended up going with. On my couple honorable mentions here. Jordan Poole, kind of obvious. Kind of sucks now. Mikal Bridges, expected him to take that leap, and he kind of has not. And then Zach LaVine, a guy who's has a very good chance of getting traded. Just been injured quite a bit this season, and when he's been on the court, aside from a 50-point game against I forgot who, but it wasn't a loss. So, yeah, so he kind of hasn't been up to it. But I ended up going with Klay Thompson.
All right, that makes me happy.
I mean, looking at his averages, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. The alarming part is you look at his percentages. He's shooting 42% from the field, and 38% from three. That's not terrible, but this is his lowest percentage from the field since his second year in the league, back in 2012. So it's just not been. He's kind of showing some age. His age is catching up to him. I mean, kudos for him for coming back from back-to-back nasty injuries like he did. But this is clearly not the same Klay Thompson. This is not a guy that was a member of the Splash Brothers for many years with Steph. I don't think that player is there. I have faith that he can return to that form somewhat and be a viable option for them. But right now, with how these Warriors are constructed right now, they need Klay to do something. And he's just not providing enough consistency. He'll have a good night, but then he'll go on a stretch where I have his game. So I have his game log pulled up here. He went through a stretch where he shot like under 30% from the field, like for 4 straight games. Like, just like, so it's been really rough for him. I think he'll turn it around, but yeah, as far as, because I thought the Warriors were going to be, not saying they are be champions, but I expected them to be, a relevant player in the West this season. Klay Thompson's a big part of the reason why they're not.
Yeah, I mean, you have to talk about Klay Thompson in this conversation. So I'm so happy that you were the one that brought him up. That makes this episode even better. We could just end it there if we wanted to. I'd be okay with that. But
I knew you would enjoy that.
I have pretty much a similar list to you. Zach LaVine was definitely top on my list, or one of my top guys. The only reason I don't want to necessarily give him that award is, or I don't know if he wants this award, but he's only played 25 games, so he has missed a nice chunk of time, and so I don't want to hold that against him. Sometimes it's hard to get into a rhythm when you're injured and playing and out, and you're not playing. And I know he tried to fight back, so I'm gonna rule him out.
And he's hurt again.
Other guys that you didn't mention, I think DeAndre Ayton deserves some consideration. A lot of people thought that when he went over to the Blazers, just more of an opportunity not to be in Devin Booker's shadow. And when you look at how the composition of the Trailblazers, this was kind of his chance to maybe not be the guy, but be a more important part of a team. And he hasn't shown any signs of being any better. I think he has proved most people correct that he is what he is at this point. He's averaging less than 13 points. He's averaging over 10 rebounds a game. his percentages, everything is very consistent to where it was prior to him being dealt. So I think he's been a big disappointment. And if anything, it's not that he's a bad player, it's just he's never going to develop into that superstar level player that a lot of people were hoping that he would. Another guy that I'm going to throw in here, this was one of your boys, but and not the same thing. He's only 21 years old. It's not to say that, his career's over or anything, but Jalen Green, I think, has been a little disappointing. He averaged, especially when you think about how surprising the Rockets have been overall, when you see Sengun and Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks even has had a huge first part of the season or first 10 to 15 games. And Jalen Green has started every game that he's been healthy, but he's kind of fallen out of the rotation very slowly, getting less minutes. And part of it, he's been crazy inefficient, which he's always been an inefficient scorer, but it's career low in everything for him percentage-wise this year. 32% from three, 39.7% from the field as a whole, only averaging 17 points after 22 last year. So, he obviously, if we were doing anti-MVP, he wasn't in the MVP discussion heading into this season, but he's a guy that you're hoping like, okay, he's 21. This is his third year in the league, average over 20 points. Let's see if he can take like a Tyrese Maxey jump where he's, just developing himself or showing that he has that superstar potential. And he absolutely has not done that. So I think he's been super disappointing, but I think it's hard not to give it to Jordan Poole overall, honestly.
Yeah.
So my official pick will be Jordan Poole, and mostly it's because of the opportunity. I mean, he has every opportunity in the world to be the main source of points for that crappy Wizards team, and he has just not been good. 41% from the field, 30.8% from three. So you're talking almost being under 30% from the 3-point line, averaging 16.7 points, horribly inefficient, averaging under 30 minutes a game, which is pretty bad within itself. The last two seasons for the Warriors, when, not even being a full-time starter for them those 2 years, he averaged exactly 30 minutes a game. So he's falling out of that rotation. The percentages are horrible. Can't stay on the field or the court and play consistently. And then the other thing I'll throw in there too is among players who have played at least 30 games this season, you can actually go down to 25. Players that have played more than 25 games, he has the second worst defensive rating in the entire league as well. So he's not efficient offensively, can't play defense. He's terrible all the way around. So he is my anti-MVP.
That's, I mean, yeah, it's not a bad pick. I just didn't want to be basic.
Yeah, it's hard not to. Let's see. Let's go anti-defensive player of the year. Did you have an anti-defensive player of the year?
I did, yes.
You did? Okay. I wanted to double check. But Jordan Poole was in the running for me because, as I mentioned, he has the worst, second worst defensive rating of any player who hasn't missed significant time. And this is the criteria that I used for this. I actually this is crazy, but Jaren Jackson's been super disappointing defensively this year. He's been, if you look at his defensive ratings in depth, of course, he's still a good defender, but he's been one of the best in the league for the last few years. And that rating has dipped quite a bit this year, which has been interesting. He's not my vote for this, but I just want to throw that out there. I went by the player who has the worst defensive rating in the league, who has played at least 25 games. And that is the San Antonio Spurs' own Doug McDermott. And Doug McDermott, for some reason, has been playing way too many minutes for the Spurs, which is a whole different conversation. But he actually has the worst defensive rating for a player that's played at least 25 games. Actually, for him, it's actually 30 games in the NBA this season. So that's my selection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, I don't know what, because I kind of went the similar route to you in terms of looking at the defensive rating, because, it's kind of, how I did that. Site I used had Jordan Poole as the worst defender in the league, defensive rating. So I don't even see McDermott on this list. So
That's because he's so bad that he's unranked.
maybe, but I don't know. And get ready for this. I wasn't expecting you to go defensive next because I also went Klay Thompson for this one too.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't even know this, but according to my list, he is the 12th worst, has the 12th worst defensive rating in the league this season. We're talking about a guy, and when he was prime Klay, was an elite perimeter defender. And he's just, those injuries seem to catch up to him, like I just mentioned with the most disappointing player. The Warriors, they're not good right now. They're not good offensively or defensively or anything. And Klay Thompson, just if you're not going to be there offensively and shooting like you should be shooting, at least you should be giving better effort on the defensive end. And I mean, you're the 12th worst defender. I mean, for a guy that is supposed to be a really good defender, I mean, but I mean, this list has, so Jordan Poole's the worst, right? Then it goes Brandon Miller. Kind of unfair, but then Cade Cunningham, Benedict Mathurin,
He is bad.
Yeah. And it actually surprised me a bit. The fifth word, Terry Rozier is the fifth worst of. That is not surprising. Looking at this list, the Wizards have 3 players in the top 10, the worst defensive rating this season.
Well, when you look at that, it would surprise nobody when you see where they are in the standings.
Yeah, Tyus Jones is 6th, and Kyle Kuzma is 8th.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ. Can we just give it to the Wizards as a team? Make this a team award? Just give it to the Wizards? Because Jesus. And defensive, I also, this list is making me kind of surprised because DeJounte Murray is actually in the top 20 as well. The worst defender. So I thought he was supposed to be good at defense. I thought,
It's one of those ratings and metrics that's starting to come under fire. So that's where we won't talk too far into analytics here because I like this nonsense. But like when you look at defensive rating, Rudy Gobert is outside the top 100 this year. When you look at like the traditional defensive rating metric, and this I'm just looking at NBA.com right now, according to their defensive rating metric. When you look at defensive win shares, which is a very in-depth metric that kind of isolates that individual players defensively, because the problem with defensive rating is it takes into a lot of outside factors into consideration. So if you're on a bad defensive team, sometimes it's hard to have a high defensive rating. So the Rudy Gobert is number 1 in defensive win shares, just on a side note. And then you have guys like OG Anunoby, number 6, and Evan Mobley and, Derek White all in the top 10, Embiid number 11. So the top defensive guys. So I use defensive win share, which is probably why we're coming up with different things. But either way, Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson and everyone we have mentioned has been terrible defensively. I think it's interesting to note that Anthony Edwards is number 5 this year in defensive win share, the 5th best. Not the 5th worst, the 5th best, which is super interesting. And I know he's been much improved, but I was a little shocked to see him be in the top 5 of any defensive category. So good for him. But all right, let's move on to anti-coach of the year. I think there's some great names that you can throw on this list, but who do you have for this one?
There are some great names. And my criteria is just looking at when you determine. I'm not gonna like pick the coach of the Wizards because they're not.
That's not fair.
They weren't supposed to be good anyways. So my criteria was like, okay, what were this team's expectations, and
100%.
how much does the coach have to do with why they're not meeting those expectations? So I had two names I was really zoned in on. I was picking between Darvin Ham and Adrian Griffin.
Okay.
And I went with Adrian Griffin of the Bucks, and it kind of I don't know if I should feel bad because this is his first season as a coach, but I'm looking at this Bucks team, my team. This team is god awful defensively. I don't know what's going on, but this isn't the same team that's been a top 5 defensive team the past 5 seasons or whatever. And there's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way all of this is because they swapped Dame for they swapped Drew Holiday for Dame. It goes beyond that. They're just, I don't know if it's like scheme not meshing with the personnel that the Bucks have. That could be part of it, but I just don't think Adrian Griffin is really clicking with a lot of the players, especially Giannis. They don't seem to be on the same page at all. And that's a problem. I think the Bucks will be fine. They're still going to be a top. They're a contender for the title. They're a contender. They should be favorites to win the East. But Adrian, I expected more out of the Bucks defensively this season, and I think you have to point to Adrian Griffin to be the main reason, as a key reason why they're not. Because, I mean, I don't think you can place all the blame on Damian Lillard, because you look at Drew Holiday's this season in Boston, and it's not like he's having a spectacular season or a great, even he's solid, but he's not been, what, at least, eyeballs, that hasn't been exactly what the Celtics, so I don't know, I feel Adrian Griffin, maybe this is me mad that the Bucks are so bad defensively.
I think it is.
I had to blame it on someone, so I'm just going to blame it on him.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted negativity with this, and that is the negativity that we needed here, because we have the second best team in the NBA right now, and you're giving him anti-coach of the first half. That's harsh.
They're the 22nd ranked defensive team after being consistently a top 5 defensive team the last 5 seasons.
I told you, that's a Drew Holiday effect right there.
Is it all a Drew Holiday though?
That's the Damian, or maybe it's the Damian Lillard effect. I don't know which way it goes here.
Do they go from top 5 all the way down to 22 because of that?
That is how bad Damian Lillard is as a defender.
Hey, how come then, when we were talking about our most disappointing defenders, did neither one of us mention Damian Lillard?
Because he's always been bad, and he'll always be bad. I used to say that about James Harden, and he is now will I say above average? I'm not going to say above average defender, but
he's not there yet.
No, he's at least maybe slightly above average. I mean, he's not getting a complete above average, but maybe Damian Lillard, when he is, 50 years old, will be a better defender. I don't know at this point. Names that I had in consideration here. He's starting to slip out of the race, but Frank Vogel of the Suns, but they continue to improve. They're number 7 in the West now. They're on a 5-game winning streak as we sit here and record this right now. So they're trending in the right direction, and I would not be shocked if they will be a top 5 seed in the West. I'll go far. They'll be a top 5 seed in the West. They're only a half a game out of 5th in the West right now. So it's hard for me to put them in that conversation. I think that Steve Kerr has to at least be in the consideration, but we've thrown enough shade on the Warriors for one day, so
I wanted to skip that, so I didn't want.
That's not fair.
I talked enough bad about the Warriors. I didn't want to.
Klay Thompson getting 2 of your anti-awards. Yeah, that's that's too much negativity.
I didn't need to mention Steve Kerr, but yeah.
So he's at least got to be an honorable mention in this, though. I think another guy to consider, and I just think they've been so disappointing the last 2 years now. I think Quinn Snyder of the Atlanta Hawks. He had a lot of success with the Jazz for several years. And this is a team that, when you remember a few years ago when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, everyone's like, oh my gosh, this team is here. Trae Young is a superstar. They just need to get better defensively. And then they bring in DeJounte Murray, and then nothing changes. And they're the 10 seed right now in the East, and it just feels like disappointment after disappointment, and they haven't been improving. And Quinn Snyder's always been a really, really good defensive head coach. The Jazz always played tough defense when he was at the head of their organization, and now they're one of the worst defensive teams in the Eastern Conference right now. So I think he deserves at least an honorable mention in this category. I think you have to pick Darvin Ham, because I think that entire team is a disaster right now. And I know that's a basic pick, and I have 2 basic picks now at this point, but I think it's so hard not to. LeBron doesn't respect him. The players are very outwardly like, we don't like that guy. I don't know at this point how he makes it through the season for them. I don't care if, they're getting slightly better, but still they're the 9th seed in the Western Conference, and Anthony Davis has been playing well. LeBron has been, himself. Austin Reeves has been playing better. This team should be way better than it actually is. And at the end of the day, when you're not getting the most out of your players and they don't respect you, you deserve to be the anti-coach.
Yeah, you made a point. I should have went Darvin Ham, but
No, we have to be different.
I didn't want to be basic, and I just wanted to vent my frustrations on the Bucks defense this season.
Yeah, I love that one. That one's a shocking one.
And yeah. Dart has just been bad. I don't get why I get a lot of their players have been outside of their big 3 and Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, I guess, and their 3rd best player. I don't get why they should be better. You have and Anthony Davis, knock on wood, has been relatively healthy this season. I don't think he's missed a ton of games as far as.
Yeah, not really.
So he hasn't been out for a stretch that I can remember. So he's healthy. He's playing well. LeBron's doing as good as you can expect LeBron to do in his 25th season or something like that. I guess D'Angelo Russell has been terrible. We didn't talk about him. I'm surprised neither one of us. I didn't put him as an honorable mention for most disappointing. Now that I think
that's a good one. Yeah.
So, but he's not. But there's no reason why the Lakers shouldn't be better than they are, and I don't see them making a coaching change during the season, unless they slip, but if they kind of maintain where they're at right now, and I don't see, them, unless they go into a free fall. I don't see them being their coach next season. at all. But I don't envision them getting rid of him this year unless they go into some sort of free fall. But yeah, he definitely deserves this award, and just not even close.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point too where, I mean, is LeBron just hard to coach? I mean, let's be honest for a second here. So this is his 21st season in the NBA. Do you know how many different head coaches he's had? Just take a guess.
I'm going, I don't know, like 8 or 9.
He's had 8. Yeah, that was a good
Okay.
guess. I mean, 8 in 21 seasons? That's insanity. I mean, for a coach of, especially a guy that's won that many championships to go through that many coaches. I mean, I knew the number was going to be high, but when you think about a guy like, I don't know, Michael Jordan or Kobe or the greats, I mean, they played for 1 or 2 head coaches in their career, and consistency was a part of their greatness. So it's been so interesting to me. I mean, that's a hard figure to, it's only going to increase probably by the end of his career. If he plays next year under a new head coach, he's going to be touching on 10. So I just want to throw that out there because I think it's very interesting. But let's get over to our last anti-award here, which I almost skipped over and ended this episode, but we did not talk about the anti-rookie.
Yeah.
So anti-rookie of the year. Let's see who you have for this one.
Oh yeah, and this is it's kind of almost unfair to say someone's the most disappointing rookie, because I mean they are a rookie.
Yep.
They're meant to go through struggles, adjusting to the league. You kind of mentioned it with Toronto. I think Grady Dick's kind of been disappointing, shooting really bad. Not that he has some absurd expectations or anything, but the other big honorable mention I had, Amin Thompson of the Rockets. I almost put him, but I didn't because there was a guy that's been more disappointing. And I think at minimum you'll have this guy in honorable mentions. I think that has to be Scoot Henderson. I mean, I think it's time, and this brings up a bigger point. I think it's time that we talk about how much does the G League Ignite help players, or does it really? Because I mean, he was a star in the G League Ignite. He was supposed, and coming in. I expected a lot more, especially third overall pick. Looking at his averages this season, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. That doesn't tell the story, though. You look at his percentages, and 36.4% from the field. Ouch. 29.2% from 3. Ouch. But he does lead all rookies in assists. Silver lining, maybe, perhaps. Maybe because he has the ball in his hands all the time, but and he's 5th in scoring. But yeah, I mean, you expect growing pains, so it's not like I expect Scoot Henderson to turn out to be a bad player. Because it's still his rookie season. It's not like he's on a good team. Blazers are not good. But he's just inefficient as hell. Whenever if I tune in, I'll watch a Blazers game every now and again, because they're on or whatever. I swear, every time I turn on the TV and do a Blazers game, the first thing I see is Scoot Henderson putting up some god awful shot.
Yeah.
That he has no business taking. So I think it's a situation where his shot selection isn't good. Some of his decision making isn't the greatest, but yeah, I think he'll be okay. But that's kind of has to be the pick.
Yeah, the only correct answer is Scoot Henderson, honestly, at this point. And I think part of it is he put a lot on himself. And I think that's part of that bad shot selection is coming into the season, everybody loved his attitude, right? He was coming in saying, I'm going to be a dog. I'm going to be a star from day one. I'm going to put this team on my back. People loved that about him. But the reality is that's leading to him taking some terrible shots. And I think he's going to be fine in the long run. He's shown flashes of being really good, but if they add a few pieces around him to take some of that pressure off, he's going to grow into his own, and I think he'll be okay. I have more faith in him than a guy like Jalen Green, for example. I've never been a big Jalen Green fan, but I see more upside with Scoot, and it's not time to give up on him. But when I was looking at the top 10 picks, because I was trying to make it somebody that was a high pick and that's disappointed, like you said. So there's been a few other guys that I think you can throw in the honorable mentions. Amen Thompson has been a really strong candidate, I think, for that. Part of it's just he's not getting the playing time. The Rockets are.
The reason why I didn't put him is it looks like at least the past couple of games he has started to show some flashes. I mean, part of it's because Van Fleet's missed the past couple of games, so he's kind of stepped in and take on more of a role. So we'll see how that. But that's the only reason I didn't. That's the reason I didn't pick him, because he has started to show some flashes, unlike Scoot Henderson, who has been just bad all year. I don't know if he's had a good game this season. He did have a 30-point game though. Scoot Henderson did.
Oh, there's something. See. Other guys, I mean, you look, Oscar Thompson has been pretty good for the Pistons overall, so he's not in that conversation. Anthony Black was 6th overall to the Magic. His stats don't pop off the page, but he's actually started 28 games for the Magic and has been pretty good as a playmaker and defensively for them. So I think thus far he's been fine. Bilal from the Wizards has been really good for them recently, so I definitely can't throw him into this.
A Wizards player's been good.
Running out the top, what?
A Wizards player's been good.
Yeah, he's been everything that we wanted and more. No, Jarris Walker of the Pacers was taken 8th overall. He not only hasn't even really been in the NBA most of the season. It's very rare where you see a guy drafted in the top 10 spend more time in the G League than the NBA. And that's been the case. He's played more G League games this year than in the NBA. So as a top 10 pick, that's not promising. And the Pacers went out and got Siakam, so that does not bear well for Jarris Walker's future. I think they were hoping he would come in and be that long-term answer at the 4 spot for him, but that doesn't look to be the case. And then the other guy that I think's been very disappointing, and some people liked him as a stash in fantasy this year, but that's Taylor Hendricks of the Jazz. Mm-hmm. And especially with them not being, a great team, I think a lot of people thought he was going to come in and be able to carve out a role very quickly because he didn't have a lot of competition, but he also has been not great as well. So I think you have to throw Taylor Hendricks, Jarris Walker into the conversation. But the answer is Scoot, because he put so much expectation. I mean, in the beginning of the year before the season started, people were talking about Scoot competing with Wemby for Rookie of the Year. Like, people were having that legit debate, and now he's not even anywhere near that conversation. I think just because of the stats, the accumulated stats like points and assists that he's put up, he's probably like 10th or so the last time I looked at the Kia rookie ladder to see where he stood. But I mean, he has no shot to win that award, which would be surprising. I mean, if you looked at it from the preseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just overall, but the good thing for him is he's going to continue getting these opportunities. The only other guy like they have there right now, I know they have Anthony Simons he's been in and out of the lineup, so I think maybe him back. Oh, I know he returned recently. Maybe him back will take some pressure off Scoot, and we can start seeing his efficiency numbers go up possibly.
That sounds optimistic, but yeah, no, it can only help at this point to have someone.
It can't get much worse.
I mean, to have anybody at this point, so yeah, no, it definitely will help him out for sure. So, Anything else on your mind? Anything else you want to bring up?
Nope. We covered it. Hopefully, next week we see some more, some trades. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and it's not a quiet. We see big names move. We'll have by the time we talk next week, we'll be able to talk about the final votes. We'll know the starters for the not starters, but we'll know the All-Star game final vote stuff. That I believe that gets announced on like Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. All that stuff gets announced. So we'll know.
Yep.
We'll have that to talk about. That'll be a big talking point next week. But hopefully some stuff happens. Hopefully there's some chaos or something, or trade or news or hopefully there's an exciting week. We have some interesting stuff to talk about.
I agree. Let's hope for some craziness. I love it.
Let's hope somebody, No, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I was gonna say I don't want anybody to get hurt. But
that's a little extreme. Okay.
It's a little extreme, but it selfishly it would give us something to talk about. But
yeah, wow, that's it's like I don't care if this guy's career is over. It gives us something to talk about. That's fine. All right. On that note, we're gonna end it on that note of hoping somebody gets injured, but not really, but maybe, but not really. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.